Hi, welcome to Prime Recap. After abandoning the baby Radish in the monster world, the human couple regrets their decision and embarks on a dangerous adventure to get him back. Today we will recap the story of the movie, Monster Hunt 2, from 2018. After leaving his human parents, the baby Radish moved to the forest with the other monsters, where they built a new village. However, even though he lives hidden from humans, Wuba is not safe. While partying, an evil monster, sent by the new king who usurped the throne, appears in the village and tries to capture him. Ying takes the little monster and runs towards the forest, but new monsters appear and surround the villagers. Suddenly, a fire-colored creature appears from the ground and is about to put its claws into the boy, but Gao narrowly manages to save him. He throws the child into Xiao Wu's hands and they flee into the forest. In an attempt to prevent Wuba from being taken away, they throw the little monster from hand to hand, while trying to eliminate the new king's minions. However, sometime later, even with all the efforts of his friends, Wuba ends up being captured. The monster tries to escape with the boy, but the villagers don't give up and grab him by the tail. Gao and Ying form a cannonball and manage to bring the creature down, but the baby Radish ends up being thrown into a river. Now he must survive on his own. Upon discovering that his plan has failed, the king sends a new subject to capture the young one, but orders him to be delivered alive. Meanwhile, the couple, Xiaolan and Tianyan, visit a doctor to find out what is going on with the girl. Since their separation from Wuba, she has had several visions that remind her of him. But apparently this is a rare case, and not even the doctor could help her. While leaving the doctor's office, Xiaolan finds a very suspicious pregnant woman. She squeezes the woman's belly and discovers that she is a fake. In the same hour, her suspicions are confirmed. That was a monster disguised as a human. Xiaolan uses her whip to pull it out and the creature asks where the baby Radish is. Suddenly, other monsters appear and start chasing the girl. She tries to escape, but ends up being surrounded by those creatures. Just as she is about to be captured, another hunter appears and easily traps all the monsters on the roof. The man tears off their costumes and reveals the true form of those things. He then traps them all in a special net for containing monsters. At that moment, the couple discovers that that man, Yun Qing, belongs to the Hunter Society. After he leaves, Tianyan suggests going to the headquarters of the Hunters Society in search of clues about his father's whereabouts. The boy's father was also a hunter and had been missing for more than 10 years. Xiaolan buys the idea and together they walk toward the temple. After surviving a fall from a gigantic waterfall, Wuba wakes up on the riverbank and walks alone through the forest. But soon he is found by a group of brats who try to capture him. While running to escape, the baby Radish enters the city of clear water and ends up being pulled into a carriage by someone. One of the kids opens the vehicle to look for the little monster, but finds nothing inside. Wuba had been saved by Bam Bam, a monster with the ability to camouflage himself and become invisible in any environment. The two quickly become friends and the baby Radish reveals that he is looking for his parents. In the building next door was a casino, where a lot of gambling was going on. Of all the players, a bearded guy named Tu stood out, winning every round. His great luck attracted the attention of one of the biggest players in the place and the woman challenges him to a duel. The winner would take it all, to roll the dice and get the highest number possible. This meant that his victory was already guaranteed, but his opponent doesn't give up so easily and does several acrobatics with the cup before rolling the dice. What nobody knew was that a little monster, Tu's partner in betting, was hiding inside the cup and was responsible for the man's great luck. The little green monster thing moves the dice so that its partner always wins the bets. However, this time, due to the woman's acrobatics, the little monster went berserk and was eventually discovered. When Tu realizes that he has been unmasked, he tries to escape and rips off his disguise on the way. After removing his mustache and false beard, he walks quietly through the casino, but cannot go unnoticed. The man has to run, and when he finally manages to get out of that place, Bam Bam runs into him. The monster runs with the carriage all over the city, destroying everything in front of it while running away from the guards. After a few minutes, the man manages to lose them and they head into the forest. While Bam Bam was making dinner, Tu meets Wuba. He catches the short guy and throws him away. When he turns around again, he is met with a nice punch in the face from a man who has suddenly appeared. Upon arriving at the Hunters Society, Xiaolan and Tianyan are surprised by the beauty of the place. They soon spot a child monster running away from some hunters, but are unable to do anything to protect him. While walking through the headquarters, they find a weapons factory. Xiaolan asks the owner to fix her whip and asks if he can make weapons for her paper soldiers. The man falls in love with the girl at first sight and assures her that he will do his best to please her. When Tu finally wakes up from the punch, he comes across Juju. The woman is completely in love with him and was collecting a debt that the man had made with her. 3 months earlier, he had signed a contract, which said that if in 3 months he did not pay off his debt to Juju, he would have to marry her. Tu claimed that he were drunk when he signed that contract, but the woman doesn't care about that. He refuses to marry her, so Juju calls in some of her handmaidens to torture him. While receiving a tickling session on his feet, one of the security guards informs her that there were some people who said they had found the little monster. The woman had ordered her subordinates to spread posters all over the city offering a reward for anyone who could deliver her the radish baby, but all she could attract were a few imposters. Upon seeing the poster, Tu claims to know where that little monster is. Juju then asks him to bring Upa to her, so that the woman can forgive his debt. In the memorial hall of the hunter's headquarters, Tianyan finds a plaque honoring his father, Song Daishan. Yun Qing appears soon after, accompanied by his partners, and the boy shows him his father's sword, which proves that he is telling the truth. Yun Qing reveals that Song Daishan is his superior, and since he disappeared 10 years ago, no one knows if he is alive or dead. The man hands Tianyan a book containing records of monster hunts made by his father. The boy thanks him, and Yun Qing tells him about a legend that a little monster could bring peace between the world of humans and monsters. This little baby monster has green hair and goes "Upa" when it is happy. He then takes them to the monster tracking pavilion, where the sand dune of nostalgia is. When a monster feels lonely and misses his family, he uses a power to show his location to those he misses. At that moment, the other hunters appear and report that they have lost Espedo, the monster boy, but have managed to capture his mother. They order her to get on the platform, and by mentalizing her son, the boy's location is revealed. The hunters prepare to go after him, and Xiaolan asks Yun Qing to let them go with them. Tianyan is the first to meet Espedo, and the little monster tells him that he began to be persecuted after saving a human. Just then, another hunter approaches and attacks the monster. Espedo runs away and tries to hide, but is knocked down by one of the men. When the other hunters unite to eliminate him, Tianyan slips in front and uses his sword to block the attack. Yun Qing and Xiaolan appear next, and Espedo takes the opportunity to hide. Tianyan tells him that the little monster has saved a human, and Yun Qing assures him that he will take him safely to the hunter's headquarters, where he will be tried fairly. The couple then tries to get Espedo to accompany them. To do this, Xiaolan tells him that his mother misses him. Eventually, Espedo decides to accompany them back to headquarters, where he would meet his mother. In the forest, Tu and Bam Bam team up to look for the baby radish. Bam Bam begs his boss not to sell Upa to Juju, but Tu says that if he doesn't, he will have to marry her. A few meters ahead, Bam Bam finds the little monster and tries to hide it from Tu with his camouflage skill, but still the man manages to find it. He lies to the boy, saying that he would take him to his parents, and asks if he was hungry. While feeding, Upa spits on Tu and he gets very angry, but Bam Bam explains that monsters only spit on those they like and wonders why Upa likes that guy. At the hunter's headquarters, Xiaolan observes the relationship between Espedo and his mother. Even though they are caged, they were happy to be together. At this moment, the girl begins to think of a plan to free them. She takes a metal bar and uses it to break the chains. Meanwhile, Tianyan holds the gate to prevent the guard from entering the room. When the man finally manages to enter the prison, he spots the two little monsters outside their cells, and Xiaolan lands a blow on his head. When the hunter wakes up, the couple is standing in front of him together with Yun Qing and his companions. The man had been placed beside the cell with the iron bar in his hands. In this way, Xiaolan manages to frame him for releasing the monsters. Now that he has captured the little monster, Tu returns to Juju's palace, and Bam Bam devises a plan to take revenge on him. He reveals that when a baby monster screams, the humans he spits on can see exactly what he is seeing at that moment. While Tu was trying to negotiate with Juju, Bam Bam makes some faces to scare Upa. When he shouts, both Tu and Xiaolan can see exactly what he is seeing. And the one who got the worst of it was Tianyan, who was punched in the face the instant his wife had a vision of a disgusting monster. Tu also loses out because he calls Juju a monster while he has the vision and ends up with 2 swords in his neck. He apologizes to the woman and says that he needs to take care of something. Tu goes to Bam Bam and punches him in the head. The monster claims that he cannot sell Upa, and the man asks if what he had seen was the same as what the little monster saw. Upon discovering this ability of the baby radish, Tu gives up on delivering it to Juju at that time. Instead, he promises that he will deliver the little monster the next day and borrows money. To this end, he signs a new contract. This one now says that Tu will love Juju forever. But before handing the paper to the woman, he pours glitter over the word, love. After taking the money, the man rides in his carriage and leaves. Seconds later, one of the servants looks at the contract and realizes that Tu had used the glitter to modify the word. Now the contract said that Tu would be indebted to Juju forever. After discovering that she had been deceived again, Juju takes the sheet of paper that contained the number of times her beloved had lied to her and tears it up. Finally, she asks her companions to bring her another sheet of paper, as she would begin counting again. 2 take all the money he borrowed from Juju and go straight to a bookmaker. This time, in a new disguise. Bam Bam uses his camouflage ability so that Upa can snoop on other players' pieces. Thus, when Baby Radish screams, 2 can see the play of his opponents. The man wins every round, until Kui sits down at the table and challenges 2 to another game of mahjong. 2 seem to know her from previous games and try to cover his face to avoid being unmasked. Suddenly, the woman pulls out a boiled corn and starts devouring it. Upa can no longer concentrate on the game and can only stare at the cob. During the match, 2's mustache begins to peel off from his face and his disguise is blown. He still tries to make excuses to continue the match, but Kui recognizes him and pulls out his fake nose. Once again, 2 fails to cheat at his games and has to flee the casino in a hurry. Bam Bam goes after him and ends up releasing Upa from his arms. The little monster ends up in front of the mirror and starts screaming. This time Xiaolan can see it and is sure that those visions were of her son trying to communicate with her. The trio manages to escape and flees through the roof. To throw off their pursuers, they enter a circus and 2 dresses up as one of the extras. After putting on his tiger costume, the man goes on stage and becomes the victim of the first show. A clown decides to use his hammer to break a giant stone on 2's chest. Since he was a beginner and didn't quite know what he was doing, he can't break the stone on the first hammering. 2 ask the clown to hit harder next time and end up getting hit in the chest. He even spits blood, but the show cannot stop. The second trick is the one in which the person is sawed in half and 2 is summoned, once again, to star in the act. During the performance, he asks the clown to stop sawing him, but the man ignores him and 2 faints. Upon seeing this, Upa begins to cry, believing that his friend has been killed. But soon after, the clown puts the parts of the box back together again and 2 stands up, causing the little monster great happiness and relief. After the performances, he goes back to his dressing room and the baby Radish jumps into his lap. Soon after, the trio prepares to leave and Upa is spotted by the brats who tried to capture him earlier. Then some guards and gamblers from the casino show up and go after 2. The man then gets the idea to hide in a balloon. When they finally make it there, Bam Bam reminds 2 that during his entire life, no one has ever shed a tear for him. Still, he intended to sell Upa. At this point, the man becomes reflective and rethinks whether he should really give the little monster to Juju. While some idiots were looking for 2 down there, the trio decides to spend the night in the balloon and not come down until the next day. In the couple's quarters, Xiaolan could only think that the vision she had was related to Upa and Tianyan thinks that his wife is delirious. He is concerned with studying his father's notes and, while doing so, discovers that the sword his father had left behind increases in size when the magic word, Sulu Sulu, is used. Xiaolan then begins to pack her things in order to leave that place. She wants to find Upa at any cost, but Tianyan tries to make her give up this idea because he does not believe that his wife's visions are real. Since she did not have the support of her husband, the girl decides to go looking for the little monster on her own. Meanwhile, Tianyan walks to the sand dune of longing and tries to mentalize Upa to discover its location. However, before the image is formed, the sand fragments crumble and fall back into the dune. Xiaolan appears next. The girl gives up going after the little monster alone and goes back to the hunter's headquarters. She joins her husband on the platform and together they mentalize the image of their son. This time the little sand monster appears and shows his location. The couple discovers that Upa is in a hot air balloon and Xiaolan reveals that he knows where that balloon is. Before they leave, Xiaolan goes to the weapons factory to get her whip. When she gets there, the man hands her his whip along with a new weapon. Then he says he has prepared something special for her. He pulls on a rope and releases a shower of rice popcorn. All this in an attempt to create a romantic atmosphere between him and the girl, but his plan doesn't work as Tianyan appears soon after and Xiaolan gets up to accompany him. Before they leave, the store owner hands the woman another gift. He attaches a wooden device to her gun and asks her to use it to cast spells against the monsters. A few minutes later, they find the hot air balloon and search for the little monster in the surroundings. Meanwhile, 2 and Bam Bam get off the balloon and try to leave without being seen. After several mishaps, while following his new friends, Upa feels something strange. He turns back and the couple also turns to see what is waiting for them. In that instant, both of them are filled with happiness and run towards their little monster. The baby Radish jumps into his parents' lap, but soon begins to cry when he remembers what Tianyan did the last time they saw each other. The boy bitterly regrets having told Upa to leave and promises that they will never part again. While they were hugging, 2 runs and captures the little monster. The couple asks him to give it back, for that was their son. However, the man claims that a monster cannot be the child of human parents. Gradually, the people who were after him the day before approach the scene and demand that the man pay his debt. At this point, the bad character says that if the couple wants to get their son back, they will have to pay a huge fortune. Xiaolan says that they don't have this money, but the Hunter Society does. She asks the man to follow her to the headquarters. Once there, Yun Qing hands him the money and takes Wuba. When Tu turns to leave, Bam Bam states that he will no longer be his companion. The monster was tired of being treated like a doormat and was disappointed by Tu's attitude in selling Wuba. Xiaolan thanks Yun Qing for helping to retrieve the baby Radish and tries to pick him up, but the man knocks her down and says he will take the boy back to the monster world. The couple tries to stop him, but are surrounded by the other hunters. After releasing a smokescreen, they disappear without a trace. Bam Bam, who was still in the temple, claims to know how to get to the monster world, and he promises to help them get the little monster back. After paying off all his debts, Tu regrets what he has done and thinks about gambling the rest of the money to drown his sorrows. After walking a long way to reach the entrance to the monster world, the trio crosses the cave and meets Yun Qing and Wuba. The little monster was tied by a rope around his waist and Bam Bam is unable to catch it. Tianyan then draws his sword and goes after the hunter, but the man is very agile and, even empty-handed, cannot be defeated. Xiaolan uses her whip to try to capture him, but once again he manages to dodge it. After taking down his enemies, Yun Qing continues his trek into the monster world. Tianyan and Xiaolan go after him, and when they manage to get through the cave, they encounter the other members of the Hunter Society. At that moment, the couple realizes that those men were the same monsters that had attacked them in the maternity clinic. From the beginning, the whole thing was a trap. Xiaolan uses her whip to get rid of them while Tianyan tries to figure out how to use the new weapon the blacksmith had made. Inside the wooden chest, he finds the armor for the paper dolls that Xiaolan had ordered. The little creatures waste no time and soon unite to attack one of those monsters. Bam Bam tries to help, but is thrown far away. Shortly after, a horde of flying monsters approaches and the trio must flee. While they are surrounded, dozens of monsters unite, forming a pile of bodies on top of them. At that moment, Tianyan and Xiaolan finally figure out how to use the new weapon and manage to get rid of those creatures, one by one. They shoot spells at those beasts and manage to immobilize them. Realizing that his allies are being defeated, Yun Qing mounts one of the monsters and tries to escape with the baby Radish, but Xiaolan manages to catch up with them. She grabs the animal's leg with her whip and flies off with them. Tianyan and Bam Bam hold the girl and also go after the traitor. Yun Qing and the monster try in every way to get rid of them, but Xiaolan holds firm and doesn't let go. Bam Bam holds a rock and manages to knock down the flying monster. Yun Qing and Wuba fall and the girl uses her whip to hold the little monster back. At that instant, Yun Qing's human skin rips apart, revealing his true form. The man is actually that monster that was sent by the king to capture the baby. Before he reaches the ground, he throws his colleague up and knocks the couple down. Wuba also falls, and the monster manages to catch him. Bam Bam and Xiaolan attack the imposter, but are thrown far away. Tianyan uses his ability to levitate objects to throw rocks at the creature. Feeling threatened, Yun Qing releases a deadly gas. At that instant, Tu appears, along with the green monster and his girlfriend, and retrieves the little monster. Then the man hands over the sword that Tianyan had lost along the way. Yun Qing continues releasing his gases and Bam Bam asks the little flying monster to take him up so that he can release his pollen into the volcanoes on that monster's back. In this way he can attract thousands of bees to attack him. The paper soldiers catch a ride on the insects and help defeat the enemy. However, Yun Qing still has one card up his sleeve. He devours his colleague in a single bite and gets even bigger. Wuba picks up some pebbles on the way, swallows them, and attacks that thing with his super machine gun, but the monster turns all those pebbles into dust. Tu catch the baby Radish, and everyone runs to avoid being killed. However, they soon reach the edge of a cliff and the monster knocks them down. Luckily, the group manages to hang on to the bottom and avoids the fall. The problem is that now they are trapped. Wuba screams in fear and Xiaolan discovers that the visions she had were happening when the little monster screamed, because he had also spit on her. Upon hearing this, the girl creates a plan. They run around the monster to confuse it, and while the creature tries to catch Wuba, Xiaolan holds one of its arms with the whip. Tianyan uses his sword to distract the monster while Tu jumps on Bam Bam's belly so that Wuba can spit on Yun Qing. Now, every time the baby Radish screams, that monster will see what he sees. Yun Qing gets angry and throws his opponents away. He manages to capture Wuba again and Xiaolan tries to stop him. Tianyan remembers that his sword transforms when he utters the magic words. He says, "Sulu Sulu," and his sword becomes big enough to be used as a plank. After making it levitate, the boy saves his wife and continues the plan. Xiaolon asks Upa to scream. By doing this with his eyes closed, the people on whom he spits cannot see anything. It is at this point that Tianyan goes through the head of the demented monster with his sword and manages to eliminate it. Now that their enemy is dead, they must return to the human world. To do so, they enlist the help of Green Monster's girlfriend's cousin. At Tu's request, after they say goodbye to Upa, the little monster takes the baby Radish's family home. While flying, Tianyan wonders why Upa hasn't spit on him yet. At that moment, his wish comes true and the little monster shows that he also likes the boy. The couple comes to the conclusion that it doesn't matter whether they live in the world of humans or monsters, what matters is that they are together. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, please like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.